calm, and relax listening practice compilation.
Daily learning.
Is it normal if I feel left behind? Sometimes I wake up with an ache in my chest that I cannot describe. It is not exactly pain, but it feels like emptiness stretching across my heart. I look around and notice how the people close to me seem to move forward while I remain standing in the same place. My friends, one by one, begin to achieve their dreams. Some graduate with honors, some get jobs they once only talked about, some fall in love and start building families. They look so certain about where their lives are heading. Meanwhile, I keep asking myself the same question over and over. What am I doing with my life? At first, I told myself that it was fine. Everyone has a different path, and my time would come eventually. Yet as the days turned into months, and the months into years, that hope started to crumble. Every new achievement that appeared on my social media feeds felt like a reminder of what I had not accomplished. Instead of celebrating them wholeheartedly, I found myself sinking into a strange mixture of jealousy and shame. I wanted to be happy for them, and in many ways I was, but beneath the surface there was a heavy voice whispering that I was being left behind. The more I thought about it, the more powerless I felt. Nights became the hardest. Lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind would wander into dark places. I would recall every failure, every mischance, every time I quit before finishing something. Those memories grew heavier at night, almost as if they came alive when the world grew quiet. Sleep rarely came easily, because I was too busy questioning myself, too busy fearing the future that seemed empty and uncertain. Day by day, my confidence dissolved. I began to see myself not as someone who was simply struggling, but as someone who was failing. The weight of comparison became unbearable. I looked in the mirror and barely recognized the person staring back. My reflection seemed tired, uninspired, and lost. I wondered whether I had already wasted too much time to turn things around. There were moments when even the simplest tasks felt impossible. Applying for jobs felt meaningless, chasing dreams seemed pointless, and imagining the future was terrifying. It was as though life itself was pushing me backward while others kept moving ahead. I carried guilt in my chest, blaming myself for every misstep, every hesitation, every moment of weakness. Still, in the middle of this storm, there were small sparks of clarity. They came unexpectedly, often in the quietest hours of the day. Sometimes it was during a walk when the air felt soft against my skin. Sometimes it was while reading a book that reminded me how deeply words could touch the soul. In those fleeting moments, I realized that perhaps life was not meant to be a straight race. Perhaps there was no fixed timeline that I had to follow. Gradually, I tried to hold on to that thought. It was not easy. Old fears and insecurities kept returning, but little by little I began to accept that my journey could look different without being worthless. Instead of focusing on how far ahead everyone else seemed to be, I started paying attention to the small steps I could take for myself. I wrote more, not because it would lead to success right away, but because it made me feel alive. I allowed myself to rest without guilt, reminding myself that recovery was also progress. The change was slow, almost invisible at first. Yet with time, I noticed that the nights were less suffocating. The heaviness in my chest was still there, but it no longer controlled me. I still felt uncertain, but I was not drowning in it anymore. I began to see my life not as a failure, but as a process. Every broken piece, every wrong turn, Every disappointment was shaping me in ways I could not understand yet. As I kept moving forward in this fragile way, I realized that healing was not about erasing sadness or instantly becoming confident. Healing was about learning to carry the sadness without letting it destroy me. It was about choosing again and again to believe that my story was still unfolding. Of course, there were setbacks. There were days when hopelessness returned like an old shadow, whispering that I was too late, too unworthy, too broken. On those days, I reminded myself that even falling backward did not erase the steps I had already taken. I held on to the idea that growth was not always visible, but it was happening quietly inside me. Slowly, hope returned. It was fragile at first, like a small flame flickering in the wind, but it grew stronger as I kept protecting it. I began to believe that my worth was not defined by how quickly I achieved my dreams compared to others. My worth was in the way I kept going, even when it felt unbearable. My worth was in the way I continued to love, to hope, and to try, despite the fears that haunted me. Looking back now, I can see how lost I was, how heavy the loneliness felt, how endless the nights seemed. Yet I can also see how those very moments taught me something precious. They showed me that life is not always about winning the race. Sometimes it is about surviving long enough to realize that there is still beauty ahead, even when the path is unclear. Today, I am still learning. I do not have everything figured out. My future is still uncertain, and sometimes I still feel behind. But I am no longer at war with myself. I have learned to be patient with the person I am becoming. I have learned to accept the pace of my own journey. Most importantly, I have learned that even when I feel like I have lost everything, life has a way of slowly returning pieces of hope to me, one by one. So yes, maybe it is normal to feel left behind at times. Maybe it is normal to feel lost when everyone else seems certain. But normal does not mean hopeless. And, do you facing the same problem right now? I know it sounds cliché, but I hope you guys get the confident boost to let you believe that you are more than enough and the golden time of your life is coming soon. So, for yourself, please keep moving on whatever you're doing right now and make your future self proud. Morning mist. One of my favorite things I like when I wake up in the morning. Every morning, when I slowly open my eyes and the quiet world outside is still wrapped in the softness of dawn, there is something that always greets me with a gentle presence, something that feels like a secret shared only between me and the earth. That is the morning mist, which to me has always been one of the most beautiful gifts that nature leaves behind before the day grows brighter. As I step outside, usually while the air is still cold enough to make my skin tingle and my breath turn into little white clouds, I can see the mist resting low over the ground, wrapping the trees, the grass, and even the rooftops with a veil so delicate and fragile that I almost feel afraid to disturb it. Yet at the same time, I cannot help but stare at it with a quiet admiration. Whenever I see the mist floating gently over the fields, I always feel as though time itself has decided to pause for a while, and it makes me realize how beautiful stillness can be, because in that soft haze, everything appears calmer. The noise of daily life seems far away, and my heart feels lighter, almost as if the mist has the power to absorb my restless thoughts and turn them into something softer. The reason why I love morning mist so much is not just because of how it looks, though it is indeed breathtaking, but also because of the way it makes me feel connected to something larger than myself. For the mist reminds me that the earth breathes, that the air holds stories from yesterday, and that the water rising from the ground and floating above it is part of a circle that never ends, a circle that ties me gently to the rhythm of life. Often, while walking through the mist, I notice how the sunlight slowly begins to fight its way through the haze. There is something so magical about the way golden rays scatter, creating an almost dreamlike scene where the edges of trees blur and the outlines of houses fade, making the world appear both mysterious and tender at the same time. In moments like that, I find myself slowing down, taking deeper breaths, and realizing that I rarely appreciate simple things enough. It is because I spend so much time rushing from one responsibility to another, yet when the mist surrounds me, I remember that beauty does not always come in loud colors or grand gestures. Sometimes it comes in silence, in softness, and in the kind of atmosphere that feels like a whisper more than a song. There are days when the mist is so thick that I can barely see a few steps ahead, and instead of feeling anxious about not being able to see the road clearly, I feel comforted. Because life itself is often uncertain and unclear, and the mist becomes a reminder that it is okay not to know everything at once. It is okay to walk slowly, and it is okay to let things reveal themselves little by little. When the mist covers the world, I often imagine that I am walking through a painting where the brushstrokes are blurred and soft, where colors bleed into each other, and where nothing has sharp edges. And in that vision, I feel both small and infinite. Small because I am just one person in this vast and mysterious creation, but infinite because my heart expands when I realize I am allowed to be part of such quiet beauty. Even though the mist disappears quickly once the sun grows stronger, the memory of it stays with me, and I carry it through the rest of my day, like a secret strength, reminding me that mornings can be gentle beginnings. That life can start softly before it turns busy and noisy, and that I can choose to keep a little piece of that calm inside me no matter what happens later. Sometimes, I think the reason why morning mist touches me so deeply is because it holds a sense of impermanence, because I know it will not last long, and perhaps that is what makes it precious. Since things that stay forever are often taken for granted, but things that vanish quickly teach us to pay attention, to look closer, and to love the present moment as it is. While standing in the middle of misty air, I often remember childhood mornings when I would run through the fields near my house, feeling the cool wetness on my skin and seeing the grass sparkle with drops of water that looked like tiny jewels. And those memories always return with such clarity whenever I see the mist today, reminding me that beauty has always been with me, waiting for me to notice it. There is also a spiritual feeling in the mist, something almost sacred, because it makes the world look hidden yet revealed at the same time, as those secrets are being protected and truths are being whispered only to those who are willing to stand still long enough to listen. And in that stillness, I feel my own soul grow quieter, more open, and more grateful. Even when I am tired or my mind feels heavy, stepping into the mist has a way of softening the weight I carry, because the air itself seems gentler, wrapping around me like a light blanket, reminding me that no matter how chaotic life feels, there is always a place of peace waiting at the beginning of each day. When the mist finally fades and the world becomes clear again, I often feel a little sadness, but at the same time I also feel gratitude, because I know that tomorrow, if I wake up early enough, I will meet it again, and it will greet me with the same quiet beauty, as if no time has passed at all. So, morning mist is not just a weather phenomenon for me. It is a companion, a teacher, and a reminder of gentleness. It is one of my favorite things because it teaches me patience, gratitude, and the value of soft beginnings, and every time I see it, I feel that the day ahead of me has already given me a gift before it even started. And maybe now, as you imagine it with me, you can picture the way the mist curls softly over the fields, The way it hides the world just enough to make everything look mysterious, and the way it slowly lifts when the first sunlight touches it. So I wonder if you too have ever paused for a moment in front of such quiet beauty, letting it hold you still before life begins rushing again. And if you have, then perhaps you know exactly why morning mist is one of the things I cherish most whenever I wake up. But if you have not, then maybe the next time you wake up early and the air outside is cool and silent, you can step outside and notice if the mist is waiting there. And if it is, I hope you let yourself stand still for a while, because you might feel the same calmness wrapping around you, the same sense of being part of something larger, or even just the small joy of realizing that the simplest things often stay with us the longest. So I leave you with this thought. Mornings will always come, but mist will not always be there. Whenever it does appear, treat it like a rare gift. Breathe it in slowly, carry it with you quietly. And maybe, just like me, you will find yourself smiling for no reason at all, simply because the day began in the softest and most beautiful way it possibly could. Dear my lovely grandpa. Hi, it's me again. It has been so many years since the day you left this world, yet my heart still feels the same emptiness that first appeared when I realized you were truly gone. I often sit quietly in the small cottage that used to echo with your gentle footsteps and your warm laughter, and I think about how much I miss you. Sometimes the silence feels heavy, but at the same time, it holds the memories of our days together, and those memories have become my comfort. I write to you again, even though I know you cannot read my words, because it makes me feel close to you, as if I am sharing my life with you the way I used to when you were still here by my side. After you left, life changed in ways that I could never have imagined. At first, every corner of this cottage felt unbearable, because everywhere I looked I could see pieces of you. Your chair near the window still stood quietly, your books still carried your scent, and the garden outside still held the touch of your hands. It was almost impossible to accept that you were no longer here. I spent nights staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep, whispering your name in the darkness, hoping that somehow you would hear me. Slowly, time moved forward, and although the pain did not disappear, it softened into something that I could carry without breaking completely. Now I live alone in this little home of ours, and while it may seem lonely from the outside, it is full of the spirit you left behind. I take care of the cottage the way you taught me, sweeping the wooden floors each morning, watering the flowers, and keeping the fire alive in the old fireplace. When I hear the wind moving through the trees, it feels like your voice is whispering encouragement to me. On quiet afternoons, when the sunlight falls gently through the windows, I close my eyes and pretend you are sitting near me, smiling the way you always did. Those small moments give me strength. Even though I am alone, I am not completely abandoned because the neighbors have become like a family to me. They know I live here by myself, and they always show kindness whenever I need help. Sometimes they bring me food, sometimes they help fix things around the house, and sometimes they simply come by to talk for a while. Their presence reminds me that the world still carries gentle souls, and I believe that you would be happy to see how they care for me. The village itself feels like a safe circle, surrounding me with warmth, and in that warmth, I can keep walking forward without losing hope. Grandpa, I have tried my best to remain strong. I know you would not want me to spend my days drowning in sadness, so I wake up each morning with the decision to carry on. There are times when tears still find their way down my face, especially on nights when the stars shine brightly, because they remind me of how we used to sit outside, looking at the sky and talking about dreams. You always told me that even the smallest dream deserves to be chased with a brave heart. Those words have become my compass, guiding me whenever I feel lost. I remember telling you once that I wanted to make something meaningful with my life, something that would make you proud. At that time, I did not even know clearly what that dream would look like, but I knew that as long as you believed in me, I had the courage to try. Now, even though you are not here, I still hold that promise close. Every step I take, I imagine your smile, and I remind myself that I cannot give up. The path is not always easy, but the thought of honoring you gives me strength to keep going. There are moments when the cottage feels too quiet, especially during the evenings when the sun disappears behind the hills. Yet instead of seeing that silence as emptiness, I try to see it as a gentle reminder of you. I light a candle, I sit by the fire, and I let my mind travel back to the days when you would tell me stories about your youth. Those stories shaped me, taught me patience, kindness, and the importance of believing in something bigger than myself. Because of you, I know that love never truly disappears, even when people do. Sometimes I walk through the garden and remember how your hands worked the soil with such care. The flowers still bloom, as if they remember you too. The roses, the lavender, the daisies, they all carry whispers of your love. When I touch their petals, I feel a connection that words cannot explain. It is in those moments that I realize you are not completely gone because you live in everything that you left behind. You live in the laughter that still echoes in my memory, in the lessons you taught me, and in the courage you gave me to face life alone. Living here by myself has not been simple. There are days when I feel the weight of solitude pressing down on me, and I wonder how long I can carry it. Yet each time those thoughts appear, something beautiful happens. A bird lands on the windowsill, a neighbor knocks on the door with a smile, or the sky paints itself with colors so breathtaking that I cannot help but feel grateful. These small gifts remind me that life still holds beauty, even when it feels painful. They remind me that you would want me to see the good things, not only the sadness. Grandpa, I want you to know that I still love you deeply, and that love has become my anchor. It keeps me steady whenever the storms of loneliness arrive. I believe that somehow you are watching over me, perhaps from a place I cannot see, and that thought fills me with peace. I do not know what tomorrow will bring, but I have learned to trust the journey. Each day is another chance to live in a way that honors your memory, and I will continue to do that with all my heart. So here I am, writing to you again, sharing my heart in these words. I may not hear your reply, but I can feel it in the quiet corners of my soul. You taught me that love is stronger than distance, stronger than time, and stronger than death. Because of that, I carry you with me everywhere I go. I miss you more than words can ever describe, yet I am grateful for every single memory we shared. Thank you for being the light that still shines in my life, even though you are no longer here physically. Thank you for teaching me resilience, kindness, and hope. I promise I will keep moving forward, I will keep believing in my dreams, and I will keep finding beauty in the simple moments, because that is what you would want. Until the day we meet again, I will continue to write, to remember, and to love. With all my heart, your grandchild,